To get the best possible musical experience, it's important to consider where music is being played as much as what kind of music is being played. Folk music is no exception. The Central New York region is distinguished by the variety of venues that serve the folk music community. Jeremy Johnston of Subcat Studios in downtown Syracuse works with numerous folk musicians to produce the best sounding music possible.
I think I've worked on more folk and bluegrass music in the last, it just seems like the last 2 or 3 years it's been more and more of that kind of style, which I really enjoy.
You know, some people like to lay things down kind of one track at a time, and maybe that's more common with rock music. Folk music, my approach for it is more like live. Set everybody up in the studio, you know, spend some time getting good sounds on each instrument, and just play the song.
Johnston enjoys his work due to the strong folk presence in the area.
Well, it's definitely less of like a nightclub scene. It's not really, it doesn't really sit well in the bar scene. I've been to a lot of shows in barns and on farms and house shows, like house concerts, coffee shops. I mean, I think folk music lives more there than like on a big stage or something like that, you know.
From my perspective, I see more and more and more of it, you know, and not just folk music. I mean, bluegrass, like people call it Americana these days. You know, I also work with a lot of singer-songwriters that kind of come in with, you know, a guitar and songs that they've written, but here we tend to produce that into more fleshed out albums. So adding, you know, bass, drums, horns, or strings, you know, giving it more of a life.
Johnston also travels to venues across the region that bring folk music to the masses.
I mean, Kelch Hill, that does really well. I mean, that's exactly what we're talking about. It's out in the country, you know.
Located in Manlius, Kelch Hill Farm hosts live events every week throughout the year, bringing in all manner of music lovers.
Traveling through the little country towns, the wonderful places I have found.
Larry Hoyt of WAER hosts Common Threads, a folk radio program that mixes both traditional and modern folk music.
You know, folk music is one of those things that is defined by many different people in many different ways. Some people say that all music is folk music because, as they say, I never heard a horse sing a song. It's always people playing music for one another. And when you get down to it, that does really define folk music. And the songs that we play for one another, ultimately at some point, many of them get handed down, as they say, generation to generation.
The number of quality venues in the area is why Hoyt sees folk music having such a diverse audience in the area.
Coming up in January, there'll probably be the Bluegrass Ramble Barn Dance at WCNY. All these other venues, you know, the Nelson Odeon and the Oswego Music Hall, Earlville Opera House, they have their members, they foster the interest in this kind of folk and acoustic music.
With so many opportunities to hear local and national artists, folk music will always have a home in Central New York.